Hi, it's Hazel, and welcome to my channel, Hazel Naka Design. In case you can't tell, today I have a bit of a mess here, but I just wanted to spend some time doing some plain old decorating with you. And I'm working on a blue journal. It is going to be a gift for a friend. So at this point, I don't think I'm prepared to show you the journal itself because she's got a YouTube channel. So we can't spoil the surprise just yet. So what I did was I thought I cleaned up here a bit. I pulled out, I've been saving blue stuff for a while, so that wasn't a problem. But every time I look around, I find something more that could be, incorporated, even itty-bitty scraps like this. So I want to show you some of the things that I've done and then just work on some other little no-brainer type projects. Whoopsie. I just lost a sentiment. It fluttered to the floor. Oh, fluttered into my garbage can. Okay. So, I'm going to be digging through this. I guess that's a warning to you that it'll be kind of chaotic. Let's first show you something that I did last night. So I love oversized puzzle pieces. And this particular, I thought I had about 3 or 4 done. Okay, one I'm not showing you. Anyway, a lot of this puzzle was just plain straight blue, so that made life a little easier. These I covered with some vintage wallpaper that I absolutely love. It's that, really matte, not pre-pasted or anything. So I was on a bit of a roll, and I did 5 of these yesterday. I'll only show you 4. Again, don't want to give away any clues just yet. So in essence, I just figure out where to put the eyelet, how do I want it to hang, whatever. Artist choice. Okay, so I added the eyelets, and then I began looking through some digital fussy cuts, what kind of looked good together. And I'll just briefly show you that on these, I added a bit of lace, a scrap fabric, a little digital, and a sentiment, and just used a ball pin, of course. This polka dot ribbon actually came in, it came with a wedding invitation kit that we can quite often find at thrift stores. So that's what I used there, for either looping through the invitation or something. This one, this was a fussy cut, a digital of Kim Newberg's that, I have obviously fussy cut around a lot of those kind of princess dresses. So enough about that. So maybe what I'll show you now is that I have a whole whack of, and you've seen this before, papers that I salvaged from Stampington and Company. There are usually some designer papers included in every issue. So I had just pulled them out of all the magazines, chopped them up into a variety of sizes, and attempting to use them up. So in this case, now this woman, the 80s were her decade. So this is a magazine ad from 82. This one must have been a similar ad, 1986. So I just glued these down, and obviously I want to decorate them. Now, I thought that I have this, surprisingly, I have very little blue lace. But, so I thought that maybe this could be fancied up a bit. We can always a challenge to figure out which is the right side. Perhaps it's that one. So I thought, make it a little girly. I thought this particular paper was a good choice because this creamy color here picks up her blonde hair. So maybe, I think I'll use a glue stick. How about some scissors, though? Everything but scissors. I'll just roughly cut, kind of the length I need. Those are fabric scissors. I have them scattered around the house, and I have a piece of ribbon tied to the handle so I don't accidentally. I might just put it in both areas, so let's cut another one. I decided that I'm going to, and I think I said this in a video the other day, but who knows when you'll see it, that I am going to be gifting several journals, in the coming year. So I've been collecting some of this stuff forever and a day. So I just want to get these things in motion. And honestly, but I guess those of you who are more efficient than I am, now this, I should probably let it hang below and I could put a ribbon or something across there. Those of you who are more efficient than I am will know that if you stick to business, if you stay on task, you can get some stuff done. You can make a journal in a few days or a few weeks, but the trick is to actually, work at it. So, I don't know, is that front page news now? Or am I the last one to have figured that out? I think the problem is, especially for someone like me who doesn't want to who doesn't want to feel like she's working on an assembly line or punching a clock. Never worked for me in the workforce, so why would it work for me in retirement? To just, kind of do whatever I want from one moment to the next. And that is freeing in, many ways, but it's also, you could end up with a lot of started projects. Okay, so we're going to just let that dry for the time being. Then I will trim it and then kind of maybe see what else needs to be added. I am surrounded by scraps of paper, some fussy cut images, some, digitals that I've obviously fussy cut. I've got washi tape. I have punches. I pulled out some cheesecloth. I pulled out some of the yarn that Caroline and I dyed. Where's the other piece? So depending on what I want to use, I've got a few options. So we'll put that over there. Now this one, it introduces pink, but again, because it's, maybe I'll just set that one aside. I don't know what I want to do there. So I had some again, sometimes if you handle things and store them for too long, you end up with some damage. This was some, I guess, it's kind of chipboard. Well, yeah, chipboard, I guess, lightweight. That was wrapped around some 12 by 12 paper, and it had this fancy dancy top to it. So this would have been over here. And it wrapped around this is what I salvaged because this part here got all bent and whatever. And I thought, I'm not going to try to save the day on that one. So obviously I want to cover the words here, so that this could be a pocket, this could be a little tuck spot, this could be a pocket. I don't know what this could be. And I thought this shape, see, this has a lot of creases in it too, but I thought this could be a belly band. So I have some papers. I could do like a collage. I could add, I lined one of the pages. Well, that looks pretty good. I lined one page edge with this stuff, and this is the last piece in this color, so use it or ruin it is sort of becoming my catchword here. Oh, I should put these over there. Okay, oh dear, got so much stuff here. Okay, maybe these guys could be, too wide. Okay, so I have to cover this thing because that's where it was overlapped, where the packaging was overlapped. So, I could stagger some of these digital ads. I also have these little, they're on cardstock, so they're kind of vintage, you know, reproductions of, I don't know what, whether magazine covers or something. Maybe this girl could be on there, or maybe this doll could be So that's the problem when you have too many choices. Okay. How would it look if this was underneath there? That's pretty simplistic. Maybe we need to fancy it up a bit. How about some cheesecloth, perhaps? Also have some tissue. Goodness. And you know, I have a lot of these paper strips. Some of these were just, how is that going to look? Some of these were just sort of, you know, scrapbook edges, scrapbook paper. That's cardstock. That's more of that stamping. Oh, I know, I was going to wrap this around a page, I think, since I folded it that way. So at this point, I'm just, excuse me, playing around with colors that, you know, kind of work together, because even though these all fall under the category of blue, we know there are blues that veer closer to gray, closer to purple. That's a neutral. Some of these are cardstock. This I trimmed around a certificate that had a printing error. These are stickers that I want to use on. Okay, let's get on with it. Glue something down, for heaven's sakes. Oh, and when I was finding my washi, I also, at some point, and don't ask me how, oh, it must have been two-sided tape. Double-sided tape on a piece of parchment, and then did some mark making on it. So we'll count that with this stuff that I want to use. Okay. It's more like focal points. Okay, what happens if we do this? That's so very white, though. Where's that little doll? She's more on the yellow side. Save that for something else. Okay, let's try this. This was like a sort of a washed out denim color. Oh, I also have those little birds. Okay, for the love of God, Hazel, glue something down. And then try to stay. Oh, I forgot to show you this. These are page borders. Oh, I forgot I had these. Sort of illuminated letters. Not the initial I want, though. These are page edges. Forget this. Let's find something that looks good with this little girl. So they all have gold on them. I suppose I could incorporate some other colors. Here's this one that has quite a bit of yellow on it. Okay, don't choose out of those. See, you have to be tough, even with yourself sometimes. Otherwise, things go awry. And they're printed on both sides, even. Okay, so suppose that's what we were doing there. Maybe not high enough contrast. I like that better. Give this one a shot. Maybe I should use that one because it's too predictable to just default to the purple. Okay. Let's trim this someplace where we think we might want to. And of course, these things that I'm just chopping off here could also end up being tabs, although I have a number of fabric tabs that I've already used. Maybe I should have this damage closer to the bottom. You know, my phobia, or my my design principle. Yeah, maybe it sounds better to call it a design principle. About having visual weight nearer the bottom. So if something is darker, bigger, heavier looking, I would put that near the bottom of whatever it is that I'm creating. See, there's got a little boo-boo there, a little damage. So, yeah, that's another good reason to not hang on to our stuff forever. I could still put a little bit of cheesecloth. Hack off a chunk here, or a bit of fabric, or a ribbon. I haven't used as much ribbon as I hoped for. That might be kind of nice. We were experiencing a cold snap here, and we got a lot of snow and drifting overnight. So I think I told you that, or I know I've told you that I've had some donation boxes on the fabric scissors on the go here for a while, thinking as I'm cleaning up and going through stuff that I would take it to the school. And because there was a lot of Christmas stuff in there, you know, like get on with it or you'll miss the season kind of thing. Kind of even forgetting that the school year or the month of December is going to be even shorter than normal in a school because, you know, Christmas break. So I had 4 boxes and a garbage bag of stuff. And I had it on my to-do list for yesterday, which was Monday. But, I don't know, the day wore on. I wasn't feeling it. So I told myself, okay, kid, you're doing it tomorrow, which is today. And, you know, kind of let myself off the hook. Well, we got way more snow. It got colder. It drifted overnight. And honestly, the road was all to town, which is 5 miles away, was almost impassable. I was bucking snowdrift. So but I got to town, I did it because I thought, you know, I don't want these boxes kicking around here any longer. And obviously, if they're going to make any use out of this stuff, they need it sooner rather than later. So I get to town. I carry the bag in because it was the lightest. And I say, I've got more stuff, blah, blah, blah. And she says, well, how much? And I said, 4 boxes. She says, okay, we'll send some high school kids out to help you. So that was good. But, you know, I got a reminder about what kids are like. They're so there was a boy and a girl that came to help. I knew how darn cold it was because I had been outside already for quite a while. And so they are intending to come outside just in hoodies. And I'm thinking, that's not very good. But, you know, especially boys, they're so, you know, they got that bravado and that. Because my grandkids are further away, I don't get to see the day-to-day behavior, the expressions, the foolishness sometimes of kids. So, anyway, I, of course, did the motherly thing and said, it's freezing out there, blah, blah, blah. Oh, no, I'm hot. I've got my heaters on. My thermostat is whatever. So I'm not about to change their minds. Then I've got 4 boxes. They think that between the 2 of them, they can carry all this stuff in one trip. And well, okay, maybe it was possible. But I have vision. And I said, and what if you drop the box? You know, all I can think of is this stuff all falling in the snow, some of it getting damaged in the process. Anyway, they insist that they're strong. And of course, then we've got the third kid, who is a boy, who comes out, of course, you know, there's always that one that's a day late and $1 short. So the call had gone out for some kids to help do this. So this kid manages to show up when pretty well everything is done. And you know, there are people like that in adulthood and in real life. You know, the co-worker who arrives just in time to help share the credit in that work project or whatever. Anyway, so as it turned out, I guess he did some good by opening the door for them or something. I also have this that I could, maybe that's 2. Let's trim this and see what we have here. See if these paper scissors are sharp enough to cut through the, barely. So I was really glad to get rid of that. And then, by the time I went to the post office and picked up my mail and talked to a guy there, I was heading home. Oh, on the way there, I stopped in a clear area of the road and phoned my husband and said, the road is damn near impassable. I think you should plug in the tractor in case in case the snowplow doesn't come in time. You might have to, how about a sentiment or a tag or something? You might have to, open the road up for yourself because he has a meeting to go to tomorrow and a medical thing on the next day. Do we want a little grouping of 3? So, plus he obviously has to push all the snow onto piles in the yard here. I don't know. I may probably need something else at the bottom there. You can't really see what I'm digging through here, but I do have these clocks as a repeating. Maybe that could be at her foot there. And do some, I don't know. Okay, this thing is 8 inches, so I can't really add a tab at the top. But I could do a layering of some sentiments, I guess. How about if we find something different here? This is an actual tag from thrift stores. I threw them in here because of the color family. These really don't have messages on them. Oh, look, book guts. Let's do that. Let's get some of this bulk off here. Of course, I have this fingernail that I've been picking at. Has to last me till my appointment Christmas week. Oh, this is all gunged up with glue. Anyway, so it's nice to have those boxes out of the house. I also have a big box of stuff just for a general, as a general donation to a thrift store. But, again, I don't want to be fooling around with this stuff unless it's kind of worth my while to go. So, and I've been trying to encourage my husband, for the love of God, go through some stuff and, donate something. He must have a jacket fetish because he's got jackets every season, every color, multiples, things that still have their tags on them. Do you see why a person doesn't do this live? It's an agonizing process. These seem too close in size and color. How about a darker rectangle? Okay. Let's use, sorry, this nail now has a new sharp corner on it. And I don't know what was going on yesterday, but again, this glue was sort of oozing out of the bottle, unbidden. And it was only a week or so ago that I took the whole darn thing apart, cleaned out the nozzle, the neck of the bottle, the whole cover. I ripped that dirty old label off the bottle. And, oh, this seems like, is this not going to be the answer for this? Maybe I need a little more glue. It seems to be repelling from that ribbon. Probably didn't have enough glue on there. And it's not like it's hot here or something, and it's got an expansion thing happening. Let's do this one that's a lighter color and a different shape. It makes more sense to me to have, I think I need Fabri-Tac for this headband. It makes more sense for me to have this underneath, but it's going to make it kind of lumpy for that copy paper weight tag. So how are your holiday, holiday preparations going? Are you doing some frenzied shopping, some panicky trips to the thrift store to, not to buy, but to donate? I think people have virtually stopped sending Christmas cards. It would be far too late for that anyway. Okay, that should hold. Ugh, maybe I should do this too. Typically, I would never use, this is overkill to use something like this on a little skinny paper label, but come on. And what did you do in that half-hour video? I glued something down. I did a belly band. Oh, and I'm so proud of myself. So proud. I'm just seeing this. I use this as a page edging. And I'm just wondering, I could do that. Trim it flush at each end. Yeah. Okay, let's use this again. And most of the time we spent waiting for the glue to come down. Oh, I guess in the meantime I could show you. Oh, see? I used pieces of it here. This, and this was all created using the front cover off a paper pad, where it shows all the different designs. So on this one, I added this same cardstock thing, top and bottom. If I had something the right size, I could show you. You tuck it in top and bottom. Obviously not that, but at least you get the idea. So I have these things nearby. Oh, and on this one, on these two, I used, again, this sort of scalloped paper cardstock thingamajig. So I have these nearby thinking, oh, I could decorate those further in some way, but at the rate we're going here, we're not going to be getting to that. Okay, so maybe it's better to put the glue on here, and then I decide how much of the scalloped edge I want showing, as opposed to try to figure that out from the back side. Let's leave this baby lying down. Oh, heck. Did you see what I just did? Put the glue on the wrong side. Ugh. Okay, so a wet wipe to take that off. Wet wipes that aren't that wet anymore. I need the glue on the printed side. Okay, so this gets the bulk of it off so that I can, work on it. Actually, I'll get all the residue off right now because I was going to say I could use my, eraser, picker-upper thingamajig. But this is working also. Do you know how sometimes maybe a person shouldn't have turned the camera on? This might be one of those days, my dear people. So if you're hanging in there with me, I appreciate it, because you know. Thought I wanted it on this side, so we need to have the glue for about, if I go to the bottom of those, that should be about right. This is my outer limit. Oh, you know what I did yesterday? I binge watched on Netflix, Painkiller, a fictionalized account, but not really, Rudy Giuliani, of the opioid story, like Oxycontin. Oh, kind of slopped that a little further than I, oh no, maybe I wanted, oh, sorry. Can't seem to talk and think at the same time today. And do. Let's slide this up. So, yeah, I think that the people who started each episode that were showing a picture of a deceased loved one, those were real people. Some of the story was fictionalized. They say dramatized. Some of the dialogue was, reimagined, blah, blah, blah. But they do name names. And when you see here about corporate greed and consequences be damned, societal damages. Like, I don't know how old this movie actually is, or series, I mean, but the stats that they used at the end said that over 300,000 people had died from opioid, overdoses and so on. So, and of course, that would just be in the U.S., not, we have the same issue in Canada as I'm sure they do in most parts of the world that are, rich enough to have the drug solution. And it's funny, I have been injured or post-surgically been prescribed things where, I get an opioid prescribed. And of course, I'm scared to use them. I hate taking pills at the best of time because I don't like, don't want to do that. Okay, do we have actually one thing done? I cannot believe this. Let me trim this. So I've recently been going through, bit by bit, drawer by drawer, room by room. Anyway, I went through all the drawers in the bathroom vanity, and I also have a 4-drawer chest in there, and and my dressing table. So I touched a lot of product, and it's a double vanity, so a lot of cupboard space. Anywho, what am I doing now? This is going to be too white. I could tear this closer. So the other thing I did was I made a list of expired prescriptions. So when I was at the local pharmacy, I showed them my list and I said, I've got this at home and these are the expiry dates. Is any of this stuff still good, or should it all get thrown out? And he laughed and he said, okay, throw out the stuff from 2019. See, if I make this a little creamier in color, it'll be good. Where's my wild honey? So get rid of the stuff from 2019 and 2020. But I'll tell you, I still have naproxen. Now, that may not be an opioid, but it's heavy duty. And some tramadol. And I'm thinking, thank goodness that I'm addicted to thrifting and not drugs. Of course, it's going to be the last one I touch. So, yeah, I got rid of those 2 things. But so I thought that was rather a good piece of information. Let's try this on very lightly on the side here. I thought that was kind of good to know, because quite often a person is throwing stuff away, and whether you have a drug plan or not, maybe something that was still had some efficacy left to it. Like, there's no point in fooling oneself that what you're taking is working if it isn't. So we don't want delusion. But do I want to do another one in the other corner? That would be too gimmicky. Maybe I want to do 2 together. And I might, when looking this over in the future, decide that, it still needs something. But yeah, it's like when you find a salad dressing bottle in your fridge from 2015. Yeah, maybe it's time to part with it. So, and occasionally, depending, if I'm in mixed company or people with a sense of humor, I will say, oh, yes, I could be. What is the street value of one of these, of a tramadol? But of course, that's entirely bogus. So if I do this like so, that leaves the perfect spot to add a focal point there. So let's just do it. Yeah, so obviously the horrors of drug addiction, the pain and suffering that it causes, but the overarching theme was the absolute unadulterated greed. And I'd also said, you know, how in the summary at the end of something like that, where they tell you, you know, what's what. That family at that point had never been charged. The individuals had never been charged, never done a day in jail. And when I said Rudy Giuliani, he was the district attorney for the state of New York at the time this was all happening. And, you know, phoned the White House, and the prosecutor was forced to plead something out there. And oh, I shouldn't be. That's a spoiler alert. I should have done a spoiler alert. Okay, so we're going to let this dry. We're going to put these things aside and maybe do a bit of collaging on, where are they? These guys. Now, one of the things that I pulled out in the hope of using it, you know, I did, not so long ago, I did a video on carving stamps. Geez, this is going to get damaged. Let me save it while I can. Oh, and I meant to put that on the belly band. The plan changed. Maybe this sort of, oh, that looks pretty good on there. And I can get almost 3 full motifs on there. Going to need probably that to make it hold down. Anyway, carved stamps. So I said to somebody who said, oh, I want those stamps. And I said, oh, check my Etsy shop. I'm sure that I made a digital out of it. Well, no, I didn't. But I did print and, you know, count that as part of the to-do list for 2026. I did print a couple of pages that were done in blues that I intend to use here for some collaging. So I'll use those too after I get this glued down. Yeah, when I look around, or when I allow myself to think about it, when I see how much stuff that I paid sometimes big money for to digitize, to turn into digital kits, I get a little sick at heart. Because, you know, and with some of them, I've even scanned them. Oh, we need that guy poked out. You know, and of course I don't, other than some very basic kind of stuff that I have learned to do through Canva, I don't have any graphic design skills. I'm not using the, what's it called? That software from, oh goodness, what is it called? Not Photoshop, but Photo. It's like the dumbed down version. The dumbed down version of that. I wonder if I can keep these little guys on without them getting dinted. Oh, Photo. Anyway, you probably are screaming because you know the name and it isn't coming back to me. Hey, another thing I could do. Where did I put that? Oh. No, I'm going to do something special there. Okay. I said that I would start decorating some of these things. Let's see how many pieces have we got. So we did the belly band or bookmark or whatever that is. I guess it should be a belly band. So don't want to lose, you know, whatever is good there. Where's my tear ruler? Let's see what is the best. Oh, I got 3 of the same there. That is probably too creamy. Oh, this is good. Maybe this is good. Okay, let's start tearing these into smaller pieces. I love how these turned out. I did putz around, you know, I've had that printer for how long? And I just noticed today when I was photocopying one of these pages that there is I think it's called density setting. Now, it's not earth-shattering how much change there is, how much difference there is, but you can lighten and darken, you know, however many degrees in either direction by adjusting that prior to hitting copy. So that's good to know. Okay, so this and this works. This one would as well. So assuming that I get my butt in gear in the new year, expect to see more digitals, because like I said, it's in some cases I'm so close. I've got the watermarks done, I've got the anyway, you know what it's like. Okay, let's glue some stuff down so you maybe see where I'm going with this. So here I just well, let's start with an easy one. I just basically need to cover some of that up. So now that does not a collage make, but it's a little bit of a start. So let's glue this puppy down. Oh, I guess I could do it on here. I should see if those little, what are these? These guys here, whatever they are. If they would look cute on there or not. That will be trimmed. Can't do that because they're too tall. The guy's head will be constantly. Okay, can't do that. So we'll see. They may or may not fit on there. Okay. Whoops. So we have this one as well. Now this kind of got, when I was separating the two glued things, it peeled off one of those back layers. Oh, that looks pretty good on there. Slap that baby down. Didn't even need trimming, for heaven's sakes. When does that happen? Which is up and down here. We'll do it like so. Try to center it to the best of your ability. Oh, and then when I was at the post office, I talked to a guy, and he said, "Oh, I hear you're going to Mexico." And I said, "How do you know?" He says, "Oh, I have my sources." And I'm thinking, well, we don't want it out there, that the farm will be unattended. So Wasn't impressed with that. Turns out he's going too, but a few days later, I think, than we are, to Watoko. So I guess when he saw my reaction, he then went on to say that it was my husband that told him. I'm thinking, oh my God, loose lips, man. Sink ships. Now, will this be, this is that homemade washi. I might need my pokey tool to get this going. I'm just wondering if this would probably be transparent. Anyway, let's get something down. Let's get something down, baby. There's also this that is a digital from somebody or other. Oh, why can't I use my own? My own ruler, stat, scalpel. So I can do roughly about 3/4 of an inch. We have a Christmas party on Friday. Forecast is for -30. When I think about that, all I can imagine is back in the day when women used to wear pantyhose and dresses, party dresses, and would go out in the dead of winter. Well, they'd wear boots and then take a pair of high heels or whatever. Like, oh my goodness. So I could wrap this around. I won't bother trimming it. Like, that would be the day. It's a good thing I missed the whole girdle, corset, pantyhose thing. Well, mind you, I guess I caught part of the pantyhose era, but I'm not going to catch this kid getting all dolled up when it is that darn cold. Okay, wrap this around. I can leave that little rose thing there. And at some point, do we want these kids here or not? They don't hold their own. How about a sticker like, oh, that's too big. Unless we do it this way. Are there any that are not, or I could use a label of some sort. And I better check, those are two the wrong color. I don't know. Do I like that or not? Here's another one. Oh, and I have a 6, a 9, a 1. I've got a couple of numbers, but they're so yellow. Good grief. Oh, and I have those 2 birds. I might be able to do that. She would need to be fussy cut, which I'm not going to take the time to do, I don't think. She could also be the 1. I should probably, though, I could add some of that same, where is that lace that I used? Oh, right here. Oh yeah, that could work. I suppose I could have almost fussy cut. It's not that big. I was going to stand up and look at my phone. Oh, 59 minutes. Unbelievably slow today. So anyway, if anyone cross-examines you, do not tell them that we're going to Mexico at the beginning of January. Because, you know, we probably will get the brother-in-law to check the place, but, you know, to make sure the furnace hasn't gone out or whatever, give the cat some food. It almost makes me want to cut around. Where are those scissors? It's so, I could cut around her face. At least, don't, you know, cut off your nose and spite your face. Why didn't I just fussy cut the whole darn thing? Okay, lace. Right here. Again with the, oh, I was going to use, I'll use a glue stick on that. Now, if this is a journaling card, I could have the lace sticking out, or maybe it would be a side tug. Maybe I should just play it safe and keep it within the margins of the, card itself. Oh, and I have this. That could be kind of cool on there. Anyway, we'll get this kind of a little further along, and then we'll call it a day. Okay, let's glue this down. How wide is this? Maybe it could be a pocket. It's 5 inches. Honestly, did do a very good job on her nose. Okay, she looks less like a snob now. Ay, ay, ay. And I could come up with something over there, probably. Let's glue this lace down and see what's what. Oh, big glob of glue. Yikes, it's everywhere. That's what whoops. That's what I mean. I don't understand why the glue is so, doesn't act like that in summer. This, in case this becomes a pocket, I'll let the lace hang down. Do I want to try this? But maybe this end. Pokey thing. Got paint on there. Come on. This, I did this years ago. I think this was an Artie Mays idea. I've gotten out of the habit of watching some of those European designers or creators. Because it seems like I know more people Now in the US, Canada. Come on. Or am I trying to separate something that is... Yeah, I'm trying to separate something that doesn't come apart. That's never a good idea. You know, the trick to working monochrome is to have a variety of textures and values. Where's my girl? Doesn't it feel like I need something more? This is the wrong color. How about a starry sky? I think I'm going to glue her down to that. And then I'll decide if I need to fussy cut around her. Whoops. It lifts her, it elevates her a bit. And it doesn't have to be much. And I realize this is a torn edge, this is a straight edge. I would have torn that before if I would have recognized it in time. So if you don't want the white visible, you tear away from yourself. Tear away from yourself. Don't like those little ears that sometimes end up. Anyway, I'm sorry that this has been so long with so little, so little to see. But I did tell a few stories, so maybe that counts with some of you. And you know, there are those speeded up, the settings where you can speed up the replay. Okay, that's probably not too bad. But what else? Is there a bigger one of these that could be tucked in behind her head? Beauty Shop, Permanent Waves. That's better than ginger beer, isn't it? Some of these are just blanks. These are road signs. And I think in this particular kit, they repeated the items in different sizes. I don't mind that. Now, if this, sorry to keep dragging this on. Some things I printed on cardstock and some just on ordinary paper. If I had this ticket on cardstock, I would use that version because then I could glue it down in such a way that it is, that it becomes a little teensy-weensy tuck spot. That's cardstock. that may not be a bad idea. Okay, let's use that instead. And you probably can't see it, but on that particular digital mine I have, there's some very, okay, stop looking. We found the solution. Stop looking. Almost feels like I need this again. Yeah, so I could actually tuck some of these small bits of fake ephemera in there. Time to clean out this little hand also. Okay, so we're just doing the perimeter on 3 sides. Oh, and you know, we had the problem with the dishwasher door. The spring, I guess, broke on one side or perhaps both. So the door, instead of, you know, having a controlled you know, where you could position it part way if you needed to, or, you know, you don't want it dropping suddenly and banging and whatever. Anyway, so my husband took that, ordered the part, it came in, took it apart, had everything everywhere, put it together, and that was, you know, a few days ago. Actually cleaned up all his tools and put them away, so that's a miracle. I wish I would have, but then no, I better leave it where I have it. Anyway, then today, dishwasher's finally full, and I go to run it, and there's no power. I guess in that pulling it out of its little nook, it got unplugged, and of course, none of us thought to check that before you put it back together. So that became another little odyssey. Okay, let's leave a few little things out to tuck in there if and when this glue ever comes down. Oh, I better not forget to do a little roundup of everything that I did here. And my goodness, now what's the problem? And show you that. Again, the reason I'm doing this is because this is now thicker. And of course, we're going over some lumpy stuff here with the layers of paper and the lace. Boy, she almost doesn't fit there. And of course, that does cut into a bit into the pocket size, but okay. Okay, prepared to be odd. We've got this that is incomplete. We have this that is incomplete. This that is incomplete. This, I would say, is done. And this is perhaps done as well, although I should trim a wee bit and a wee bit. Okay. My goodness, what a mess. Is that all? Is that all? How about if I take credit for this one, which was done ahead of time? How's that? Anyway, guys, thank you so much for being here, and I apologize for how this whole thing went. Yeah. Sorry. Sorry. We'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.